Hello, hello! Happy Crimson Tuesday! I made it on time today. I'm full of surprises. Evil Tentacle, good to see you. Skeevy City, good to see you. Um, yeah. Well, it's 8:01 now, but close enough. Yeah, I just have on the Nightbot on the chat just now that Personal Nightmare, which is a game I played on Halloween, is still on sale on GOG for $1.89 Canadian. Uh, yeah, $1.89 Canadian, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about that today because it's an EGA adventure game with a text parser. Yay, Benson, good to see you. Yeah, thanks. I'm glad you like the background, Evil Tentacle, because the background is from a screenshot in Personal Nightmare, and yeah, it's great. It's great. I actually have the full background. I've got a little slideshow of some of the screenshots, and I think around by the end of the stream, maybe around 10:15 or so, I might play some Personal Nightmare for you guys and show you what the gameplay looks like. Eating Wraith, hello, hello, good to see you. Happy Crimson Tuesday. Yeah, we're not going to cover too much today. Hopefully we're going to get some more work done on the screen we have. But, yeah, I did want to give a quick update, dev update. Chapter 4, yeah, is done. I've just been spending the last week was spent testing kind of the entire game from chapter 1 through to the fourth chapter, to the end of the fourth chapter. And I'm going to continue that this week. And I'm hoping by the end of this week, I'll have my beta ready for my testers. Brian 80s, welcome to chat. Good to see you. Yeah, so that's good news. It's really good news. I'll be, well, actually, first I have to test all of the game from chapters 1 to the end of 4, and then I've got a bunch of player feedback I need to go through, and then after that, I'll have prepared a beta. And after that, I will have a new version of the demo available for Steam and itch.io. It won't really have any new story content or anything. It just basically be quality of life improvements and my new text parser, my new text-based inventory window. So there will be some changes ahead, but it's just going to take probably a few more weeks before that comes out. But the goal is this week finish testing of what I have for the game so far. And then next week we'll be implementing some more feedback. And I guess I should introduce myself. Welcome to stream. Welcome to anyone who's new in chat or lurking or however you want to be. I'm Julia Minamata. I'm the game developer behind the Crimson Diamond. And I'm a solo dev. I'm the only one working on this, except for Dan Polakar, who's the musician. And last week, Dan was on streaming with me for our special Halloween stream. And we composed, well, he composed a track for a little Halloween spooky type of animation. And so we tend to trade off between the two of us. Tonight's an art stream, so we'll be doing pixel art. And hopefully next week, Dan will be composing more new music for the Crimson Diamond live. He does it from scratch, from beginning to end. So come see that if you're interested in music and want to see what that process looks like. And yeah, I'm going to just show, I mentioned on Twitter, there's a piece of Halloween art that I did a couple of years ago that Lazy Game Reviews tweeted like 2 years ago on Halloween, where he loaded it up on his CRT monitor. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. And I finished my cross stitch of Margot, so I'm pretty happy about that. So why don't we go to that? Here it is. I did this a couple of years back, 2019 Halloween or earlier, I don't remember. But what it is it's my tribute to Sierra adventure game villains who appeared in EGA, the 16 color palette. The top middle is Lalot from King's Quest IV. On the right hand side is Mananan from King's Quest III. On the left hand side is Baba Yaga from Quest for Glory 1. And down at the bottom is Adavis from Quest for Glory 2. Good evening! Good evening, Deluxe Tux. Furoi, good to see you. It's been a while, so I'm glad to have you back. Yeah, and I posted this on Twitter like this, but then someone mentioned that there is a CRT filter that I could run it through that was super easy to use, and so here's what it looks like with the CRT filter on. So you got a bit of that scanline effect, And I wish I could remember who it was. Matthias, I believe his first name is, who created this really easy to use CRT filter. And that's what it looks like. It's really subtle. I'll swap between them. You can kind of see this is the original, and this is the one with it's sort of CRT-ified. Grindeslove, hello, good to see you. Welcome to chat. Have you ever played Personal Nightmare or any of the Horrorsoft games? Has anyone played Personal Nightmare or any of the Horrorsoft games? This is my Personal Nightmare has been my first Horrorsoft game, so I want to talk about it because I think it's really cool, but it's difficult. Brian 80s, you sure have. Did you play it back when it first came out, or did you play it like I did just for the first time on Halloween this year? There's a lot I like about it. There's a lot of stuff that I don't like about it. Oh, Evil Tentacle. That's how I experience most games nowadays. Is I stream them. I just watch Let's Plays. Okay, so that's that. I also wanted to show the cross stitch. The Margot cross stitch is completed. I finished her. I think was it last night? Just last night. And those are the colors I've kind of settled on for the cyan and the magenta colors. And they're never going to be perfect, but they're as close as I could get. Oh, Blaholtzen! Welcome back. You've mismatched daylight savings time change and you're late. Sweden is already in wintertime. We're having daylight savings. I don't know when ours is, or if it's already happened. I don't know. I don't know anymore because now all my clocks and stuff do everything automatically. I think we've already done our fall back thing that we do. Yes, happy Crimson Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah, and so people are talking about the bookcase background. So the bookcase background is from Personal Nightmare. So before I show you guys my little slideshow I prepared about Personal Nightmare, I want to run the trailer for the Crimson Diamond, which I would like to say will be launching next year, probably late next year, if at all. Not if at all. It'll probably be launching late next year. That is my hope. I don't know how realistic that is, but I really, really hope that. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys the trailer for people who haven't seen the trailer. It'll give you some idea of the type of gameplay that you'll see in the game. Because if you didn't play one of these games from 30 years ago or more, you might not be that familiar, but hopefully when you see how that all works, it'll kind of all click into place. So let's turn off our cheery folk tunes, or turn down our cheery folk tunes. And I'll run the trailer, and then I'll show you Personal Nightmare and what my thoughts were. Okay.
Crimson, Ontario was once a prosperous, lively mining town. But that was a long time ago. Now it's quiet, nearly deserted, and some folks aim to keep it that way. Nancy Maple is an aspiring mineralogist, assigned to follow the trail of a dazzling diamond. An intriguing cast of characters has converged under one roof, each meaning to get their own way. Or else. Will Nancy untangle the mysteries and machinations before it's too late? Will the sleepy town of Crimson shine once more? Find out in The Crimson Diamond, an upcoming adventure game by Julia Minamata. The Crimson Diamond demo is available on Steam and itch.io for Windows PC and Mac OS.
Great. Oh, welcome, by the way. Sir Highbury. Oh, fallback is this weekend. Just Jeffy says November 7th as well. Yeah, I don't know because I kind of tell time from my phone, basically, and my computers, and they kind of adjust everything automatically, so I just kind of go about my day, like usual. Okay, Eating With works with some people in Eastern Europe. They are back to standard time, but North America hasn't switched over yet. Okay. I should know this, but I don't. And I've been alive for how many years, and I still don't. Yes. Since last spring, time has become meaningless, just a Jeffy. I kind of do agree with you. And I'm just going to go along with everybody else and say, yeah, the delays in development for the Crimson Diamond, I will attribute at least somewhat to COVID. Dr. Mikachu, thanks for the raid. Oh my gosh. Dr. Mikachu, thank you so much. Tracy Facey, good to see you. Yeah, so Dr. Mikachu is an amazing game dev who also streams, and she streams a bunch of different stages of game development. She'll stream art, she'll stream like working in game engines, a bunch of different kinds of game engines, which is amazing. She knows a ton about different things. which if you ever can check out her streams, they're super fun because she's implemented a ton of Twitch stuff, and I need to learn more of that stuff. Alfsters, thanks for the follow. Yay, friends! Exactly. Yes. Thank you so much, Dr. Mikachu. Dr. Mikachu, yeah, she has her fingers in a lot of different pots with different games going on and everything, and that's kind of a really exciting way to develop stuff. And she's working on something right now that is kind of like a roguelike in a like a haunted house type of thing, which sounds amazing. So yes, good luck with it, and I would love to see more. Yes, 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 Dr. Mikachu, your game announced. Yeah, I haven't seen you in forever either, and I haven't been to very many streams either, and I feel bad about that. But thank you so much for the raid. I really appreciate it. This is so I did show the trailer and all that. So I'm going to show a bit about Personal Nightmare and talk about that because it is a fascinating game. So this is from 1989, and one of the things, of course, that caught my eye about it was it uses the same color palette that I'm using for the Crimson Diamond, which is the EGA, the default EGA color palette. Elvira, I know, yeah, exactly. So the game was produced by a company called AdventureSoft that rebranded themselves HorrorSoft for some of their horror-based games. Elvira, as far as I know, is not actually in this game, so I'm sorry to disappoint anybody who's a fan. But it's been featured in a Lazy Game Review. Speaking of Lazy Game Reviews, a Lazy Game Reviews little video where he talks about it, and he kind of goes over the whole story with all that. So if you don't want to have any spoilers, if you do feel like you're going to play this yourself, maybe don't watch the video, or at least only watch the beginning. And what else can I tell you about it? It's really interesting the way that this is done. So you can see on the top right hand side there is kind of like a scum bar type of clicking. You click the verb and then you click on the screen. So for instance, this is the first screen that you see in the game. You're in this pub, and you can click on look, and then you can click on like examine, and you can click on different things on the screen. There's nothing that indicates hotspots, unfortunately. Happy Crimson Tuesday, Jim X Games. Oh, so yeah, you had your time changed as well. Oh wow, interesting. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird evening for people when it comes to time. Yes, the upper left-hand corner, you can see there's a compass, so you can move around the game in a few different ways, which is really cool. You can click on that compass, and it will take you to whatever direction you can go in. The thing is though, you can see there's a locked door on the right-hand side, this red locked door. So you have to, when you open up that locked door, the compass automatically updates to saying that you can leave out of whatever the west side is or the east side is, depending on which side the door is. So it's cool because you can either type E for going east. You can click the E when it's active to go east, or you can just click the east side of the screen on the inside of the artwork to move. So there's 3 different ways you can move in this game, which is kind of amazing. Do the Butler's Lover, great to see you. Yes, the Mistress of the Dark is there. It's weird that they put her there and that they had the rights to do that, but like I said, I don't think she's in the game. There are a couple games I guess, that have Elvira in them. There's a 1 and 2. There's something Cerberus is the second one, and the first one is something else. And those ones are kind of more like role-playing games, I think, than adventure games potentially. But I've never played either of them, but they just look really cool. But yeah, so it's really cool. You have an inventory screen, which I will show. It's kind of a graphical inventory. It's kind of a big tease, though, because it's one of those games that has a limited inventory, which is kind of a bummer. That's one of the things I don't like about it. Yeah, Dr. Mikachu, exactly. It's interesting to see how different this game looks from my game, even though it is the same palette. I love the fact that at this relatively low resolution with this color palette, you get so many different styles and just ways of setting up games. It looks like we're at Lefties. Okay, this is what I really wanted to talk about. This is one of the things I really love about this game. So you can see this is the first slide in the little slideshow. Here's the second slide. You can see that they're very similar. But what's cool is that depending on the time of day it is, there are people that come and go in this bar, and you can see these people in other parts of the little town, which I love. It's kind of like people have their own schedules where they'll come to the pub, or they'll go back home, or they'll go to their place of work. Yes, this is a legit retro game, Jim Makes Games. Yeah, it makes it really realistic, Jim. The fact that people are keeping their own schedules, it's kind of a difficulty when you want to visit a store and the store is closed, which it's kind of a bummer. But yeah, if you wait long enough, you can see people come and go from the pub, and you can even it'll even close at night where they'll put the screen down, and then you can see the village clock strikes 11, and so time will pass, and you can actually click on the right hand side. You can see it says wait, and if you wait, time will pass. You just can wait, wait, wait. So I took these screens all just from starting out, waiting, waiting, waiting until everyone had come and gone and the bar had locked up. And I love that. I think that's fantastic. It makes the game a little bit trickier, but I think it's amazing for that fact. Another thing about it is, yeah, the time does pass in the game, so there is a day and night cycle, but unfortunately, in the PC version of the game, which is the version I'm playing, the art does not change to reflect that. So it looks like daytime all day. And we could argue that maybe this is somewhere like really far north, somewhere in Scandinavia or something, but canonically it is set in a fictional English town, so we can't even say that. Yeah, so Jim Makes Game says, I remember when Lure of the Temptress made a big deal out of having that feature, but it looks like this was long before. I'm not sure what year Lure of the Temptress was, but this was 1989, so that actually is pretty early. And the engine that they used for this was called the AGOS engine, and apparently it was really complicated to use, so they didn't use it for a lot of games. And here is that inventory. Look at all this beautiful black space for the inventory, but this is pretty much you at your capacity, which is very, very annoying and inconvenient and a big tease. What I do like about this, in a lot like this in Ultima games, if you could put stuff in your suit pockets. So that's an inventory within an inventory, and you can put stuff in your suitcase. So it gives you kind of more inventory slots when that happens. But it's kind of annoying because if you put all the keys that you get in this game, Amberzine, thanks for the resub, amazing. Yeah, the box art for Lure of the Temptress is amazing, the deluxe talks. Thanks for the resub, Amberzine. Yeah, so if you have the keys in your suit pocket and you want to unlock a door, you have to get the keys out of your suitcase, out of your suit pocket into the general inventory. That's a little bit inconvenient, so I'm not big on that. And just in general, I'm not a fan of games that limit how much you can carry. Let's see what else. Another thing that's kind of funny about this game, which is kind of another kind of Ultima kind of type of a thing, is your shoes and your suit are inventory items even though you're wearing them, which is kind of strange, I guess. But yeah, that's I just think that's a funny thing. Ooh, 1992 for Lure of the Temptress. And this is 1989. Yeah, so this is a cool game for a lot of reasons. And here, yeah, this is just more examples of the interface. And interesting, so if you click on Inv, that box on the left-hand side, you get this inventory screen. If you click on Room, it tells you everything that's in the room that you can take, but only stuff that is like freely available. So if something's under a table or in a drawer that you haven't looked in yet, you won't see that. Dr. Mikachu, lurking while you find dinner. Let me know when you found dinner what you find. S.H. Dunn says we should always be able to carry a ladder in our pockets. Yeah, that should be in the Adventure Gamer's Constitution. Let there be, I don't know how the Constitution's written. Let there be limitless inventory of infinite capacity. Yeah, I do want to carry a full-on ladder, a fireman's ladder, in my pants. There is actually an inventory item in the Crimson Diamond which you really should not be able to put in your pocket, but you can. It's in Nancy's got little sewn-in skirt pockets that are probably 4 inches deep at most, but you can put something in there that is way longer than it should be. Because I think that's what should happen. I think that's only fair. And she has limitless carrying capacity. She has infinite strength. Yes, a rope and a ladder in every pocket sounds like a campaign slogan. Isn't that like a Boy Scout of America slogan or something? Ah, that's interesting. For your last text adventure, you made certain heavy items. You could only carry one of those at once. Okay, that's kind of fair enough. Yes, as an adventure game protagonist, Nancy can carry anything. That is the dream. And I remember playing, stuff like Oblivion and Morrowind and stuff, and getting kind of bummed out when I was completely over encumbered. So the first thing you do is you use all the exploits to get yourself a horse and cart, and just load up everything onto that thing. Yeah, this is a great example of light and shadow that we've talked about and how to achieve that in EGA, where the shadow of the wardrobe cast on the wall is we have this light magenta for where it's lit by the sunlight. The shadow is dark magenta. The stripe in the wall is white, but then in the shadow it's actually not light gray, it's the light blue. Brad Phillips 89, welcome. Thanks for the follow. And you are 89, and 1989 is when The Personal Nightmare was released. It depends on the game, the Hulton says, but I like when there's justified inventory management. Yes, exactly. Peevish Dave, adventure game characters always have fire escape ladders. They're never just happy to see you. Yeah, Nancy's got a very neutral face, where people project their own emotions on her face, so she said whatever you think she's feeling is what she's feeling. The pattern makes the bed look kind of messy, though. Jim Mix Games. Cosmic43, hey Julia in chat. It's a really nice game you're playing there. Yeah, I'm going to probably show some gameplay stuff after we do some pixel art. Yeah, is this bedroom black and white or blue and gold? There's something about this kind of messy pixel art that, for me, kind of adds to the gritty horror, and I'll show more examples of that. This is a lovely screen that shows a lot of really nice light and shadow, and a really nice car from the 80s that I could, it looks like some kind of like a Honda or something. But yeah, this is outside the Dog and Duck pub. We can see the shadow being cast by the wall of the pub, and how that's breaking apart the sign. And it's gorgeous. The Dog and Duck, yeah. It's gorgeous. This is a timed event here where a car sounds outside. That's another thing about this game that I like/don't like, is that time passes even if you're not doing anything. That's why there's a pause function. You could sit here in front of your computer or just let it run, and the game runs over 4 days. But if you just walked away from your computer and let the 4 days elapse on their own, then you will lose the game. And it's not a matter of, in some adventure games, where you enter in a parser command and that moves the time forward. It just goes. It just goes no matter what. You could be doing stuff, you could be not doing stuff, which is realistic, I guess, but it's kind of nerve-wracking. Michael Darkwolf, hello everyone, thanks for the highlighted message. Yeah, I wonder if they called it that because they needed small words to fit on the sign. JMX Games, you're thinking like a game dev, and I know you're a game dev, so I can see why you're thinking that, and I would totally believe that too. Doesn't even pause in inventory. I don't know if it pauses in inventory, and I'm too scared to find out. I suspect that it doesn't, though. Yeah, it's a bit of overkill. But what's cool about it is, hold on, let's see if I have another one. So this is the registry office. I love this. I love this limited palette. It's 16 colors, but it's even fewer colors than that, and it's so appealing. This is a place that only is open at certain hours of the day, so it will be locked a lot of the time. So you can't actually get in here unless you possibly get an item to let yourself in. And the dialogue is something I want to demonstrate too, speaking of other characters. You can actually type in ask about, and that's not even in your suggested list of verbs here. You can ask Roberts about father, or you can ask Roberts about Susan, and you type that stuff in along the bottom, and it's really cool. Yeah, Michael Darkwolf, this kind of reminds you of an Elvira game. Yeah, because this was actually made by the same people that made the Elvira games, but this was an earlier game. Here's another gorgeous one. I can't even get over how gorgeous this is. The washing machine is in the kitchen. I don't know if that's a thing, but apparently it's a thing. But cupboards. Super appealing. Oh, Davor, thanks for the resub. Amazing. Holy cow. Well, for 13 months, that's almost a whole year. It's a baker's dozen of months. Oh, okay, cool. The UK has washing machines. You have washing machines in the kitchen in the UK. I did not know that. Yes, and you know how much you know how much I love my cupboards. When I saw this, I was very happy. I was very happy. I can't get enough of them. Yeah, Dave Boy. So this background that I've got behind me is from A Personal Nightmare. It's one of the screens. Here is the post office. That is not open all the time, of course. You can see this lady wandering around outside. I don't know actually if the postmistress you do. I'm sure you must. This is an example. This is Susan Blandford, and what's wonderful is she keeps her own schedule like everybody else. And if she was walking off the screen, sometimes you catch her as she's leaving her house, and she walks off the screen to the east. And if you go to the east as well, then she'll be in that screen walking across the screen. So there is some animation in this game, but it's very limited. There's not in the PC version at least. There's basically no music except for some little bits here and there, especially only maybe in the beginning, and just it's basically completely quiet. But I love the fact that you can follow characters through the screens. So if she's walking to the pub, you can follow her to the pub, and she'll enter the pub and sit down or whatever she does. Yeah, that face is such a compromise of pixels. I didn't Deluxe Sucks. I did not know there was an EGA Text Murphy game. That's amazing. Ooh, Michael Darkwall. The first game you played like this was Transylvania on the Apple IIe. It was a text adventure similar to Roberta Williams' earlier games. I love the Apple IIe look. I never owned an Apple computer. We were a PC household, but I love that look. Like World of Horror kind of does that look. In some other games, I love the 1-bit look. A compromise of pixels, a backhanded analysis. It's actually, to me, it's very surprisingly realistic looking. Like the characters. There's a lot of colors in Susan. You know, a lot more than I use for the flesh tones in my game. Here's a beautiful example of some depth in a kind of a crypt area. Used it in high school. Yeah, I remember our high schools as well had Apple IIs, as far as I remember. We only had like one computer class a day. Or maybe, was it once a day? I don't remember. But we didn't have nearly as much computer time as I would have liked. But yeah, gorgeous art, really beautiful. And there's some subtle dithering here and in a limited, even more limited color palette. A Compromise of Pixels sounds like the title of a pixel art detective game. Yeah, that should be the subtitle or the sub-headline of the next Nancy Maple game. Oh wow, they don't have the screen that I've got behind me in the slideshow. I could have sworn I did that. But anyway, yeah, that's Personal Nightmare. If you do decide to play it... Oh, Pengo Ray, thanks for the follow. What? Oh, just a Jeffy had one Commodore PET or Commodore PET for the whole school. Yikes. Yeah, so that's Personal Nightmare. If you're planning on playing it yourself, like I said, it's on sale on GOG. I'm not like a sponsored person or anything. It's $1.89 Canadian, and the sale ends tomorrow, I think. Walkthrough recommended. I played through some of it just on my own without consulting a walkthrough, and I was very proud of myself that I actually did figure some stuff out. But it's essentially impossible to finish this game without a walkthrough. I would say it's one of those, especially with the way the time ticks, and you've got 4 days, and stuff is open and closed in your inventory, and there's so many reasons why the game is. It just don't play with it for a bit like I did. Play with it, figure some stuff out, and then I'm actually right now I'm going through a walkthrough whenever I have like my game time, and I've finished the first day of 4 so far because I do want to experience all the screens and see what they all look like, but I just I don't have the time or patience to figure it all out on my own. But yeah, that's what I recommend. I think it's totally worth the $1.89 that I paid for it. You know, me coming from someone who loves this color palette. It's a basically it's a parser adventure game. You can play this whole game in a parser. Oh yeah, that's another thing. You can save and load the game, but it does not have a list of your save games, so you have to write them down. So that's another little design thing where they might not have even had the capacity to give you a list of your save games. It was from those days. So definitely you're going to need to take notes, at least for remembering what your save games are called. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. Well worth it. It's a great historical artifact. The art is timeless to me, but the gameplay really has not aged well. Yes, Jim makes seems exactly. The interface is a struggle, but the presentation is gorgeous. Yes. And Michael Darkwolf, if I forget to say it on the 25th, happy birthday. Yeah, Jim McSeems used to say, you think it would be great if I'd be interested in playing a game like this on stream. I'm kind of planning to do a little bit of that after some pixel art. So I was thinking maybe around 10:30 or 10:15 or 10 o'clock or something, just loading it up because I actually have it prepped to play in during the stream and just show you guys what that looks like because it is really cool to see. I mean, I'm not going to get anywhere with it. Because it's actually at the very beginning there's a timed thing that you need to do that if you miss you basically can't win, which is another problem. Okay, all right, so we're gonna get onto that, but we're gonna get onto some pixel art now. I think would be a good idea. So let's see, let's turn on the music again. And let's get on to what we were working on during our Halloween stream with Dan last week. Last week was a bit of a mixed bag. It was kind of a special art combined with music stream, which was kind of nice. But let me just go over to Shift Control 8 and holler at me if you don't see Photoshop. You should see Photoshop right now. Yeah, for our old games were brutal like that. Yeah, the fact that you have to write down what your save games names are, at the very least. Yes, and Elvira, I've heard Michael Darkwolf is super difficult. I kind of just want to buy them, but they're kind of role-playing games, so I figure even with a walkthrough, I might not be able to get through them. So I'm better off kind of watching other people play them. I've seen like streamers like Retrograde Tom play it, so I think that's good enough for me. Lucas, hello, you're just in time for art. Okay, Blaholton, you see the art? Perfect. Okay, so this is... We actually finished... What is it? What am I trying to say? We actually finished the nighttime scene. So that's all done. We're working on something new. New as of last week. You own them both in the box, Michael Darkwolf. That's amazing. Oh, thanks, Sir Highbury. Yeah, I put a screen from... Actually, you know what? I have the screen here, which I kind of wanted to show you because I think it is really lovely. Let's see. Where is it? Streaming stuff. Personal Nightmare. It's this one, and I thought I could have sworn I added it. Yeah, there's a few that were in my slideshow that weren't here. So I'm just going to open them here and show you guys. Pengo Ray asks, do you ever feel tempted to cheat and add some extra colors? I think Shovel Knight did. I have not been tempted to cheat. I'm really good at following rules. And besides, the Adventure Game Studio, which I'm using for my game, it's already got the palette's already been set, and anything I import into the game kind of sets to that palette. So I couldn't even cheat if I wanted to. Yeah, this is the screen that is in my background right now. It's gorgeous. Look at that dithering. It's beautiful. This bookshelf. And you'll notice that a lot of these screens don't use all 16 colors. This definitely is missing. It's definitely missing a few of the blues. It's missing, yes, there's no cyans here, dark or light. There's no light gray. It's kind of wonderful that it doesn't use everything in all the screens. But yeah, gorgeous. I love it. I love a nice desk. That's this one. This is a beautiful, beautiful bathroom. It's got wallpaper in it. And you notice what I've done this in the Crimson Diamond as well, where the darker wallpaper is a different kind of a pattern type of a thing. Yes. I do follow the rules, and I do jaywalk, but like I look really carefully, and I make sure there's a lot of space. I'm afraid I do jaywalk eating with. I'm sorry to let you down. Yeah, Jim makes games. The amazing thing about pixel art is how simple it can be, still create a great effect. Exactly. I love this. Look at this. I love this bathroom. They were not shy with the wall patterns. They were not. I love wallpaper in real life and in games. Yeah, and I think this is the wall is kind of I mean the floor is kind of like a messy dithering, and I kind of like that for horror games. It makes everything look a little scary to me. Yeah, the reflection of the wallpaper. Yeah, look at this. It's fantastic. I can't say enough about this. And it's kind of got an old-fashioned toilet like the Crimson Diamond does. But this is another example of a very limited palette. Look, they're not using any of the greens. They're not using any yellow. I love it. Wonderful. This is a beautiful. Look how it almost looks realistic. This manor house that's in the distance and the foliage and everything. It's really something. I think the path to the manor house looks a little messier than I would like, but I like a lot of this weird random texture. There's something really nice about this. Yeah, when Julia Butler's lover says Julia J. Walks Born to Be Wild starts playing. Yeah, exactly. I am very by the book usually. Oh, there were 3 pictures of yellow in the bathroom that Alex talks. Gosh darn it, where were they? Okay, I see. Okay, no. Nope. 3 pixels of yellow. 3 pixels. Yeah, and the toilet paper is not white, which is kind of bold, it was said. Oh, on the faucet, Deluxe Tuck says. Don't do this to me. I hate the scrolling. Okay, here we go. I don't see any yellow. The edge of the toilet seat? The edge of the toilet seat. This is the kind of art stream we're in nowadays. The edge of the toilet seat, that is white. The corner of the sink. Okay, the corner of the sink. Let's go to the corner of the sink. Oh my gosh, you're right. There's a single... Okay, wait, there's a single yellow pixel. Good eye, S.H. Don. Holy cow. Look at that. You guys are amazing. What is going on? Why is... Look at this. Foray, you also saw it. Okay. Oh, Michael Darkwolf, it's always good to see you, and don't be troubled. I know a lot of us we wanna try to do more than sometimes we actually feel like we can, and just do what you feel like you can. It's always a pleasure, one way or the other. And if you're not here, then I know you're taking care of yourself. Stream compression, we have fudged the colors a bit. Yes, look at that. It looks like it's a single pixel of yellow. And the faucet also looked yellow before I did the zoom in. I'm very impressed, you guys. Alright. Okay. Yeah, this is awesome. And I think that's all I have for screenshots. But hopefully, near the end of stream, we will play a personal nightmare. Yes, adventure gamers are pixel hunters. We were here last time where we have the letterbox look. We recycled the bucket from our previous scene, and we started working on these nice cattails. Oh yeah, and another thing I was doing, what I like to do is if I have a scene that already has a lot of these elements like the water and the cattails, I try to open up some of that stuff. Best of all rooms, I think. Jetty. So I can remember how I kind of tackled stuff. Exteriors. Exterior with cattails. Cattails. Yes, I think I used jetty as my reference. I don't remember the fisherman from the Sam & Max games. I have a very bad memory, and it's only been getting worse. Yeah, so these are the cattails that are already in the game, and as well with how the water is treated. So it's a good reference point to have for, you know, a number of different things. We're gonna work to that. But as we usually do when working with this stuff, I'm gonna start a new layer so we can do like a progress animated GIF at some point when we get far enough. But yeah, I think, yeah, the fisherman kind of works. He kind of just to stick him back in this scene, I'll show you where I should have him in here so I can kind of compose around him. Yeah, like, I think in the intro he is kind of in this kind of an area, so I should probably put. I'll put the kind of cattails all around. He probably would have stepped through them to get to where he is right now. So let's label that as fisherman. And now we don't need this window open. Oh no! It's been so long since I played Sam & Max. But yeah, let's close this gap up. What else do I have in terms of any more news? I don't think so. Oh, you like the dithering on the big trees in the top left? Oh yeah, so the jetty scene. I do like the creation of depth on these, and it actually like to do this type of a scene where it's not going to actually be like a playable part in the game. I like that because I don't have to worry so much about there being a clear path for the player. That's something about Personal Nightmare that I really enjoyed. It being like a first-person game, is that you don't have to worry about, you know, walkable paths or anything like that. It's really nice to not have to be concerned with those types of things. In fact, it would be really cool, I think, to do a first-person adventure game like that. Another reason it would be fun, I think, would be that, yeah, I wouldn't be doing scenes like I do in the Crimson Diamond. It would be more like a close-up type of stuff, and you can get more detail in close-up art. Before you're saying, I'm guessing creaky old Photoshop doesn't have smart objects. It does have smart objects, but I actually don't. I'm not really that good with them. There's like a pen tool that you can use in Photoshop, but it's super bizarre. I don't get it. I don't know how that works. You see, it kind of, it's all like anti-aliased and stuff. I don't get it. So I don't use it at all. It scares me. So that's a smart object or something. I don't know. This shape. I don't know why it's anti-aliased. It bothers me. So I don't use it. If I want to do anything that involves smart objects, I'll use Illustrator, my old Illustrator. Oh well, Michael Darkwolf, you just bought Personal Nightmare. Yeah, it's don't be too afraid to consult a walkthrough is all I'm gonna say, and make sure you write down what your save games are. Oh yeah, so I'll deal with that. Let's see here. One moment. Yeah, being a solo dev means you're kind of doing everything, including the modding stuff. Let's see. That's the underscore. Okay. Great. Thank you guys. Thanks for calling my attention to that. I have yeah, and AGS does make all the pathing pretty easy to set up. It is relatively, yeah, fairly easy to do, but at the same time, there are some problems that you need to kind of deal with. Like, for instance, something I had to deal with was I made this beautiful boathouse, and then I realized the player had to be able to walk behind it, but they wouldn't be able to see themselves walk behind it if I didn't do something about that, and it's really easy to get lost back there. So I had to make the boathouse turn into a wireframe when you walk behind it, and that's something you don't have to think about when you're doing a first-person anything like a first-person adventure game. Now it's kind of funny because it's only when you start designing your own game that you can understand why things are the way they are, and now I know why a lot of games, adventure games, didn't let you walk behind houses and stuff. It's because you have to come up with some visual solution for players to keep track of their character. And now I know, and now hopefully I'll avoid this problem. I don't know, it was kind of fun though, because I got to do like cutaways, which I love. So this is when you're inside the boathouse. This is an old version. Ahoy, H.C. Willard, good to see you. Oh my goodness, Flucus, I've never used Macromedia freehand, but I loved Flash. Oh, insert the fisherman as a sub-image. Oh, I don't know. It's kind of a little embarrassing how much I don't know about Photoshop. Let's see, and so we have these nice cattail type of things with a little bit sticking up. Yeah, I'm way better with like pixel art and rasterized art versus the smart object stuff. Did anyone else have much experience with Horrorsoft games, playing them, or watching people play them? I bought Personal Nightmare, and I also bought Waxworks. And I don't know if there's a lot of combat in Waxworks. I hope not, because that's not going to go well. But they were both $1.89. And I love Waxworks too. It's kind of got a similar... It's by Horrorsoft as well, I think, and it's got kind of the same... It's got the same type of interface. And I kind of love that interface. Which is kind of like Scum plus text parser weirdness. Oh, you're starting to learn Godot. Cosmic Void 3, I hear good things about Godot. Yeah, and Jim makes games, you're right. There's like fiddly things to do in a third-person game where you have to, like, where do you stand and how to get people to stand in the place to interact with them. Yeah, H.C. Willard, exactly. I'm just catching up on chat. Sorry, guys. Yeah, you never really understand about, you know, until you really have started making your own stuff. Why, you know, like stuff that you would never think about until you actually are in that position in terms of game design. Yeah, AGS, yeah, I love AGS. All the features that are in it, like the save and load stuff, save and load features, the dialogue stuff, the text parser that it has, it's got everything I need to make a game, and I really couldn't be happier with it. Only thing it's not that great at is it's porting to other platforms. I don't know if that's the only thing it's not good at, but one of the things it's not good at is porting to other platforms. Ooh, Waxworks. You've seen someone stream Waxworks Evil Tentacle. It looks gorgeous. And yeah, just a Jeffrey, the Elvira games look gorgeous too. I just know I probably couldn't play them because they have combat in them, and it's probably not that good combat. And even if it was good combat, I'd be bad at it anyway. Oh, Frostbeard the Dwarf, good to see you. Welcome to chat. What do I do for my day job? Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm just catching up. I will answer that. One moment. And Jim makes games, yeah, it's really... Waxworks is kind of disturbing. And, oh my gosh, okay, so you need to map Waxworks, which is also something I'm not crazy about. The good thing about Personal Nightmare, I will say, is it's got very limited locations, so chances are you're not going to get lost. Yes, Lad Studio, good to see you. Good to see the bucket. Yes, return to the bucket. The bucket should be in every game. Oh, you'd love to see the PNG version of that bridge room? Oh, of the jetty? This thing? That's already... Oh, it's a GIF right now. Okay, the combat in Navarra is just 2 buttons. If it's real-time combat, I'm not gonna be good at it. I'm okay at turn-based stuff. Like, I like Fallout, I like Shattered Lands, Dark Sun, Shattered Lands. But, you put me in front of a real-time game engine combat thing, and it's just not... It's not gonna be good. It's gonna be terrible. I know who I am, and I'm not a real-time combat person. Oh yay, it looks like you have the boathouse scene on a coffee mug. Nice. Yeah, the jetty. Yes, Sir Hybrid. Yeah, Dark Sun Shattered Lands. I love that game. It's amazing. It's like Fallout. It's a desert-based dystopian Fallout. And it's so much more colorful than Fallout, which means I love it more. I think we've talked about this. Oh no. Blair Holton, I'm trying a new Pilsner tonight, but it tastes more like an IPA. Shake my head. Yeah, this is like a lost list. This is a GIF, so you can go in there as far as you want. This is 12,800%. And it's beautiful. And it's nice and sharp. But yeah, Frostbeard the Dwarf asked me what I do in my full-time, my day job. I do this basically, but I also do some graphic design here and there. I do some contract work. I sometimes do pixel art commissions. I kind of do a little bit of everything. But oops, but this is meant to be my full-time job right now. I told myself I would live off of my savings until I finished this, but other things came up that I couldn't resist doing that kind of paid as well. So art directing, playdate game. I've done some work with a Strange Scaffold. We have Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, which should be coming out this year. I did the art, some of the 2D art for that, and that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I take on contracts when they seem like they'd be like really cool and fun and are worth taking time away from the Crimson Diamond. And I also do portrait commissions on occasion as well. And the portraits are EGA portraits. So hold on, I don't know if I have any examples of that. Art. I can never find anything. I don't know where I put them. Oh, here's one for Benj Edwards. I did this one. I do these from time to time. Oops. Hey, Lost Look, good to see you. Yes, Lost Look, this is from Personal Nightmare. It's a really good looking game. It's a really good looking game. And I'm actually going to keep that open on my Photoshop because it's just wonderful. Look at this thing. Look at it. Who could say no to this? It's wonderful. Look at that lamp. You can tell that's like a nice brass lamp. Look at this desk organizer. Ah! Aha! Deluxe Toys redeemed show old published artwork. Okay, for sure. Oh, you've just, Blah Holtzen, you've just found out about Dark Sun just now? You are in for a treat. It is... So my second favorite genre of game, which lags really far behind adventure games, are role-playing games, and it's probably one of my favorite role-playing games. I never finished it, but it's really, 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 really good. Like, the story is really good, and it's kind of... You can kind of make any kind of choices you want to make. It's really flexible that way. It's awesome. Everything about it. Yeah, you can't get lamp, you can't get your lamp. I love this lamp. Even though it looks like it's a bit too short for the size of the lampshade, it's really still gorgeous. Look at the dimensionality they're getting on that lampshade. Yeah, I love lamp. I love it. You can tell it's brass. Okay, I'm going to get the published piece, and I'll be right back. And yeah, we're just going to minimize this, and in case anyone asks to see the whole thing again, I will have it for them. I'll be right back. And we'll turn the fisherman back on, just to give a look. So we're gonna finish off doing these. I might add some of these weird little like clods of earth that I have on the jetty thing, for some more variation to this shape. But yeah, I'm gonna get some old published artwork. So just as a background, I 10 years after I graduated from college, I was a freelance illustrator. So that's I did magazine and newspaper illustrations, and then I decided that it wasn't really working out for me. I wasn't getting as much work as I would have liked, and so I kind of changed over to doing game dev stuff and pixel art stuff. I know the fish. Oh, that's his mouth. Hopefully that'll become more clear when we refine that. But I'll be right back. Oop. Oh no. Hold on. I just, okay. Great. Big Julia. Okay, so. Oh no, what happened? Why is Darth behind me? What? I'm not even. Why did that happen? What happened? Okay, there we go. It's okay. Bye bye, Darth. We had fun with him last week. So silly. Oh, so Sir Highbury says, these days there's a good chance the final battle on Dark Sun won't trigger due to some weird bug. Okay, you actually discovered how to work around this bug and made a post in the GOG forums to explain it. Okay. So just keep in mind if you get to the final battle on Dark Sun, which I didn't ever get to, you might need to do work around. I went to the wrong scene because I have keyboard shortcuts to go to different scenes for OBS, and that one went to Big Julia, which for some reason is Darth Vader. But yeah, it's okay. His squab, good to see you. He finds my lack of faith disturbing. It was fun. So anyone who wasn't here last week, I dressed up as Princess Leia. And had good old Darth behind me. Yes. Lost Luke is asking, when do you actually embrace the goth spooky style and wear your Halloween makeup every day? Yeah, I don't tend to do a lot of like dark near my eyes. Carrie Fisher, when she was Princess Leia, she had like dark eyeliner on the bottom and then also along the top. I don't have it prepped on this chat, but you can see that's what it looked like. And what I'm wearing there is my hair in little miniature Leia buns, and I had this Puma warm-up jacket that I'm wearing back to front and zipped up. Yeah, everyone had dark eyeliner in the 70s. Okay, so the piece we're going to be looking at today from old published artwork from the Redemption is this piece. for the New York Press. So this is an actual, like, you know, publication that was in New York. This is from March 25th to 31st, 2009. Oh, it's a nice color, full color cover. This is Armand White, who is their resident kind of controversial critic, and that is Morrissey. And Morrissey has an album cover where Morrissey's holding a baby, kind of like this, and so I've got Armand White holding Morrissey like that. Yes, Morrissey. Hello, hero protagonist. Did you recognize him just from that? I don't know. I'm not very good at portraits. But I wonder if Armand White on Morrissey as a political weapon. Let me see if I can find the article. I wonder if there's actually a picture of Armand White in here. This was one of the times when I, oh, well, I love seeing old ads. This is from 2009. That's kind of fun. Okay. Armand White's piece. This is one of the times when I actually did the printed original piece smaller than the printout, the way that it came out. Oh, there, yeah, so here it is, actually. There's the album cover. Yeah, and a good, well spotted, Jim Makes Games. I did make the microphone like kind of more like a baby rattle to look at. Yeah, don't even think about how long ago 2009 was, Maholton. It's a fruitless exercise. Oh, where'd it go? Sorry, other side. Okay, so there's the album cover for the Morrissey thing. And I've got the original here with me. So this was a silkscreen print, and this was back when I was still doing silkscreen prints for editorial illustration, which is very strange because it just adds so much labor. Here's the, yeah, so I did all this. And the printed size, you can see, is so much bigger. But yeah, that's the original. You can see the little registration marks. I did a pretty good job registering this, but I actually kind of like it when it's off register. I like that effect when it's not perfect. You can actually see on the light blue shirt where some of the ink is very thick and there's a bit of a texture there. And this kind of texture that I'm getting with oh, Jello Schmello, thanks for the follow. Yeah, the texture here is a texture I would apply on purpose to kind of give it a weathered look. Oh, thanks Jim Matt, thanks for the Holtzen. Oh, Michael Darkwolf, yeah, it's really fun to see old catalogs. We had 2 Sears books from the early 90s. It's really fun to see prices. Yeah, I'm kind of glad that I kept this whole thing. Would you like some wine? $7 wine. I think $7 wine would sell itself. Anyway, so thank you for redeeming published work. I'm gonna put that one over here. Yeah, so that was my previous life as an illustrator. Deluxe Tux asks, as an illustrator in the biz, are there any other illustrators or artists whose work you really respected or enjoyed? Tons. There are so many amazing illustrators out there, and one of my favorites is Yuko Shimizu. Yuko Shimizu is she worked in advertising in Japan until she was around 40, and then she came to New York and she went to college for art, and now she's an illustrator. And that's an amazing, I love that story because she was working and everything, and then she decided working in advertising wasn't for her anymore, and so she came to North America and started doing art college and everything. She went to School of Visual Art, and then yeah, she's awesome. I love her work. But there's a ton, there's so many. Ooh, in Call of Cthulhu, you can use old Sears catalogs from the 1920s. There's a lot of that stuff in archives. You can find online archives of old catalogs and stuff like that, and they're really, really cool. Yeah, let's go find some Radio Shack catalogs. Great. Yeah, thanks for the redemption. So that's another piece. Down memory lane type of a thing. Control Shift 8 is back in Photoshop. So yell at me if you don't see Photoshop. Another thing what we have to look at for the cattails is I did put the dark cyan as a shadow, but we'll get there. We're nearly there. Oh, cool. A friend of mine, Blaholton, says recently a bunch of Swedish around the 50s adverts. So interesting to look at. I love what some streamers will do on Twitch is they'll find like a YouTube channels where they just have like these playlists of old like commercials from the 70s and the 80s, and those are so much fun. Deluxe Talks, you used to hang out in your college's periodical archives in your lunch breaks reading volumes picked out literally at random. It's just fun because there's so much that's encapsulated in those publications. Not only just prices, but just clothes and like details. Like language was used differently back then. I remember ads from the 70s and 80s had so much more copy than they do now, and it's delightful. Art Burklass, good to see you. Welcome back. I know you're up too late when you catch your streams. You like it though? Nice. Yeah, you go to bed. No, just kidding. Stay. Oh yeah, and I gotta see what way I want the light to be. Okay, so the light's coming from the upper left, so I will do the shadow underneath accordingly. Yeah, Deluxe Tux, you keep saying that big companies should stop funding new ads and just start rolling out old ones on TV. Nostalgia sells. There's been a recent ad campaign for Lego that kind of copies one of their really famous ad campaigns, I think from the 70s, where it's a girl in overalls and she's just got like a bunch of Lego bricks, and they're talking about how you can build anything and be anything and with Lego. So that one was really popular, and they brought that one back. But of course it's like more modern now, but even still, it's the same basic idea, and it's great. Yes, Art Burklass, this is Fisherman. This is Return of Fisherman guy, but this is actually the first scene that the introductory sequence opens with, and I feel like it's so close to the nighttime scene that I did just in the previous art streams that it would be kind of easy for me to go from one to the other. Slat Studio asks, do you plan to keep the light blue lines in the water, or would that be changed for the animation? Well, this jetty, this is a GIF of one of 3, and I did keep this type of water. So the water's going to look more like this in the animation, although there's going to be more variation in line because the figure of the fisherman is so much bigger than Nancy is in screen. So this is more of a close-up, and so with the close-up you need to have kind of more visual interest in detail than what I actually have in this piece. So I'm going to have to watch for that. Oh, there's the Lego. Thank you for the link, Jim Matt. Old ads were sometimes less obnoxious. Oh, great. Thank you. I'm glad you like the pose. Sometimes it's funny because sometimes the more sketchy version of something ends up looking better than the finished piece, because the finished piece you kind of get really tight on it and trying to make it perfect, and then it ends up looking very stiff. So hopefully I can avoid that. Actually, we need a few more of these around the edges, so it doesn't just feel like they kind of level off. And I guess these ones on the left are actually a little bit smaller than the ones that are kind of closer to us. So I'm going to need to just keep that into account. I'm just going to subtly make them smaller than the ones that are closer. Let's see what time it is. 9:11. So I feel like I'll probably work on this. I'll probably work on this until about 10 or so, 10, 15, 10. And then we'll play some Personal Nightmare together. But not very well. So... Oh, good night, Jim Makes Games. Good to see you. Sleep well, absolutely. Yeah, they're pretty uniform. We could clump some somewhere. Yeah, I'm going to... It's not that big a deal to make them too different. What I'll do is I'll make these ones thinner. That'll help, I think. Alright, Brooklass, yes, you're also going to bed. Have a lovely night. And yes, I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the drawing tonight as well. Oh, Mousemas, you're the third one to say you were confused by daylight saving shenanigans. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like the stream is going pretty well. I might actually become emboldened and up the bitrate that we're at, because right now we're at 1500 or something. But if everyone feels like it's been pretty smooth, I might up that next stream. Yeah, see, Blaholson was one of them that also had the same issue with that. But yeah, I do tweet whenever I go live, and I do keep it pinned until after I'm finished being live, and so that can hopefully be a way to keep better track of when I'm around, when I actually will do that stuff. So it's kind of funny because at this resolution, it can be tricky to make something look thinner because it's either pixel thick or 2 pixels thick, which is twice as thick, which is actually quite significant. This 1 week a year when EU and US are out of sync, I didn't actually realize, Maximus, that daylight savings happened not exactly for everyone, the whole world. That's kind of I've gone my whole life without knowing that. Now I know. Yeah, my mom says that every year. Is why do we have to do daylight savings nonsense? She usually is saying it as she has to adjust every single clock. But we actually right now we have a really cool clock that is like a big wall clock with a giant face, but it actually adjusts itself, which is wonderful. Oops. Daylight savings is great. Non-daylight savings sucks, Sir Highbury says. Yeah, the extra hour. If we could just keep gaining hours, that would be nice. Oh, 2006 and 2008 is when the US adjusted when daylight savings starts and stops. I don't know where I've been. I did not know that. Oh my gosh, it gets dark at 4:30, Grindeslov, where you are? Yikes. Here it gets maybe dark at around 6 or something, but you're not that far off from where I am. I guess I just never really notice. Yeah, exactly. Windows help, exactly. Yeah, I didn't even read your second message. Although working in a room with no windows helps ease that horror. Exactly. I don't know what time. I don't know if it's light or dark. I don't know what day it is most of the time. The only day that's really different is Tuesday. Is Crimson Tuesday. I know that's when I have to do something that's kind of not my usual routine. I guess it's the same for you for Wild West Wednesdays. Every other day is just like every other day. Yeah, Blaholtzen, I've heard the same kind of studies where there's an increased likelihood for heart attacks and other types of issues when people's sleep gets disrupted like that. Yeah, it's a whole thing. As Sir Harbour says, daylight savings is to give us an extra hour of daylight in the summer. I think the only reason it gets set back is because theoretically, the new year is marked by the moment the Earth is closest to the sun. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's eventually going to go away. Some things I feel like are going to go away in my lifetime, and I think that's one of them. Just Jeffy, you're the same as me, so Crimson Tuesday is your chronological landmark to let you know that a week has passed. Yeah, same. The ball dropping in NYC is how we mark the new year, as it's been through all through time. Big disco ball. I believe I saw a hieroglyphic of such a thing when I went to the British Museum. SH down, time passes. Good point. Could have fooled me. It's funny because sometimes I feel like it just doesn't pass and it's crawling, and other times I can't believe it's already November. Basically mid-November. And that's really upsetting. Yep, time only passes when you don't want it to, Blaholtzen says, and Justice Jeffrey says time is a human construct. Yeah, I do wonder about that sometimes. You know, when they say that linear time is like an illusion, and then my head starts feeling like a scrambled egg. And then I start thinking about Dune, and how in Dune, interstellar travel it's just a matter of getting your mind right. Like guild navigators have to just get into the zone with their thoughts, and then they can make this happen. Is that how it's going to be? Do you think they have daylight savings time in Dune? 10,000 years into the future? Does Frank Herbert address this? Grinderslov, I love how you said mid-November. Question mark, exclamation mark, it's only the 2nd. Almost like you don't even believe me. It's mid-November. Next time I say it, or next time you hear it, it will be. It would have passed. It's already finished. It's already December now. Oh, S.H. Down, to quote Douglas Adams, time is an illusion, lunchtime doubly so. Time is now a scrambled egg. Blaholtzen, yeah, Dune is really cool. So far, I could not tell you from just the movie. I read the first book a really long time ago, and I can't tell you from the movie. The only cultural artifact that has survived through the ages are bagpipes, and that's not a spoiler. It was very weird to see them and hear them. But in case you guys want to know what persists through the ages, the relic of human civilization that lives into Dune's mighty and strange future, it's bagpipes. Now you know. Grindeslav says, let's eat a bunch of cinnamon until we pass out and see all timelines. Yeah, you start working on a little animation or something, and then a month and a half has. Oh yeah, Grindeslav, good point. Maybe bullfighting also does exist, because there's that little figurine. But I wonder how old that figurine is, because I was reading up on Dune, and apparently in some of the later books, it makes mention that some characters own preserved Van Gogh paintings and stuff, or something. So it could be just a really preserved artifact from human civilization. Maybe he doesn't even know the cultural context for that. Oh, and there's also, yeah, Jim Matt says, there's also a giant bull head on the wall of Paul's father. So bulls do exist. But it could still, like I said, there are apparently in the Dune universe, they are preserved artifacts from our human civilization. Oh my gosh, really? Grindeslav, Duke Leto's father was a bullfighter and was killed by a bull. Okay, so okay, bullfighting and bagpipes. 10,000 years into the future, that's what we kept. We didn't keep guns, and we didn't keep computers, apparently, but we kept bullfighting and bagpipes. Blaholtzen, speaking of cinnamon, should I eat a sweet snack or a savory snack? I go for savory every time. I don't really have much of a sweet tooth. No, apparently Slash Studio, I didn't see any EGA adventure games in Dune, but I need to see it again, probably. Deluxe Tux, I don't know why I find that funny. You said it's November and I still have 4 neighbors mowing the lawn at any given moment. Who mows the lawn on Halloween? The head is the bull that killed the old Duke. Yeah, for right, they wiped out all the computers after Skynet, apparently. So, okay, we need to know what the snack options were beyond sweet and savory. Yes and no EGA adventures. That we saw. Maybe there's a deleted scene or something. But, wow, bullfighting and bagpipes. I would not have guessed. I wouldn't have. So we're going to add a bit of that shadow to these. Not to, like, every little aspect of them, but... And not even that neatly. We can, here's the mantra of every artist is, I can fix this later if I want to. And so I'm saying that now. So Grindeslav, I take it that you've seen Dune. What did you think? And had you read the book or not? Last time, Slash Studio says, last time I mowed, I gave up halfway as it became night and never went back. Neighbors gotta love me. There is nothing wrong with quitting. And that is a lesson I wish I cultivated much earlier in my life. Okay. Oh, so Blaholtzen says, the sweet option was the same saffron buns you mentioned the other week. The savory option are lentil chips with vegan cheese dip. Yeah, I would totally go with the chips. And some of the cattails could be half blown away. Yeah, I can give these more variation for sure. We could fix this all later. Oh, Grindeslav, you loved it. Yeah, I really loved it too. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. There's so much there that I was afraid would not work and it was fine. And the ship designs were amazing. I love that real sleek look to them. It's just, yeah. I was really relieved that it did so well. It was done so well. You appreciate the help Blau Holtz in deciding? I need help deciding too. And if anyone has any other questions they need answered, we can help you today. Ah, Grindislav, wow, you read the book a couple months ago after having a crash course in Dune back in June. I saw both the Lynch movie and the Jodorowsky doc and played the new Dune Imperium game. I didn't know there was a new Dune Imperium game. I knew there was an old Dune game that apparently is really good, but I didn't know. Is it like a movie tie-in? Just started reading Dune Messiah the other day. Gotta let me know what you think of the other Dune books, because I only ever read the first one, and I never read the other ones. I only read the first one because it was loaned to me by a friend, and I returned it, and then I never followed up with that, with the other books. So I'm kind of interested in seeing what the other books have to say. Deluxe Tux, it's good. Even the people there's a lot of actors I really like in the Dune movie. There's people I was afraid would really stick out like a sore thumb, like Jason Momoa, but he did fine. He was good. It was all good. Ronald Dragstra, good to see you. Yeah, Dune is really cool because just the scale of everything. The book, in the book, there's a really cool feeling of scale, and it was kind of replicated through the movie, where it's just this idea of whole planets, like, oh, House Atreides has the whole planet to themselves. They've got their own planet. The idea that different weird imperial houses can have their own whole planets is kind of amazing. And just how trade would work and everything. There's so much there. There's so much there that is so cool. Yes, exactly. So that's to do. Fix it later always bites me in the bottom when later comes around. I know. We'll fix it later. We'll fix it later. Yes. The character art is based on the actors in the movie, but the game itself is just Dune lore. It's really fun. Nice! Ooh, I'm gonna just check that notification real quick. Because I can't check it. Edgy Shadow, good to see you. Thanks for the follow. And I'm gonna go back. And Control Shift 8. Okay. And just yell at me gently if you don't see the art again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Grindislav, yeah, Duncan, Idaho was something I was a little frightened of because I thought Jason Momoa would, be very bro-like, and he kind of was, but it was fine. It kind of worked. That name is very strange, though. Dune is set in the future of humans, 10,000 years into the future, so I guess Idaho could still exist as a word, but it's just weird. No, Lucas, I didn't meet Jason Momoa, I just have seen him in other stuff, and I'm like, I'm not crazy about his performances usually, so that's all. Just a Jeffy, oh wow, thanks for the Prime subscription, awesome. There's something, so Grindislav says, that's something that always bugged me about in sci-fi, whole planets being essentially just one city. But then I realized that not all planets are necessarily the size of Earth. Oh, Blowholtzen, you liked Blade Runner 2049? I think it looked great, but I fell asleep. It was really slow for me. So you don't like whole planets dedicated to one whole thing? Grindislav? I don't know, I think it's a fun idea. And I've bought it in Dune, because the scale that they managed to make everything at was so impressive. I know it's a ridiculous idea, but yeah, I mean, maybe House Atreides, they're living on like a tiny little planetoid or something. Who knows? Super fun though. Yeah, and Yell at Me Gently sounds like a great 80s power ballad song name. I like a good 80s power ballad. I do. Yes, just as Jeffy, if you have anyone who has Amazon Prime, you get a free you can get a free Twitch subscription for every month, but you kind of have to re-up it every month. It doesn't just roll over, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, it's something I learned about too. Some refer to Denis Villeneuve as cinematic ambient, but I love it, Jim Matt says. It's really soothing, actually. I really liked Arrival. Blade Runner, I was not a huge fan of it, but it looked really awesome. Well, Lucas says wifey likes his performances because of his muscles. Oh, that's of Jason Momoa. Yeah. He was fine. Like, I'm not like I said, he's not that, like, my type of an actor, really, usually, or my favorite type of a person. But no, everyone was good. Everyone was fine. Although I have read online that people think that Zendaya's performance, every scene that she's in, which was flashback, looked like a perfume commercial. But I thought she was fine too. SH Dawn, have a great night. Thanks for popping in. And Masuma says they had so much empty space on their planet. Cliffs et al. It was a beautiful planet that they had, but we don't actually know how big it was. It's true. We didn't. Well, we got the impression it was pretty big because it's not like we saw some kind of really wonky horizon or anything. It would have been funny though if it was like a little tiny place. Jim Matt says just the last 1/5 of Dune made me a little sleepy. That was a lot of desert, a lot of vistas. And Grindislav says, just like how many biomes and cultures and stuff we have on this planet, it seems weird to have other planets just be singular. I don't usually buy it, but I bought it in Dune. I don't know why. I was totally sold on it. Because, well, I guess House Atreides and House Harkonnen are like big, huge, massive houses. And maybe other houses have to share planets? I don't know. I'm gonna go with that. Book does mention Arrakis having polar ice caps. Kind of like Mars, I guess. I'm really interested in the geology of Arrakis, actually. I wonder if they ever... because I think of the sand, and I think, okay, well, did the spice start as, like, large spice crystals that eventually eroded? Are there, like, giant crystal caverns of ultra-pure spice or something in somewhere in Arrakis? Because I don't think the book ever mentioned it, but I only read the first one. I would love there to be ultra pure crystals like that. Well, you don't have to refine them at all. They're just amazing. Ooh, Grindeslov says Frank Herbert was super into ecology and geology. I'm sure that's in the appendices. I gotta read the rest of those books, is what I gotta do. And I do want to find out more about how he envisioned Arrakis spice forming and what other forms it came in. Because, yeah, rocks. We're you know me and rocks. I'm all about the rocks. And so I'd love to see what he had in mind. Maximus, my wife asked what do Arrakis worms eat to get so big. I had no answer. Oh, good night, Michael Darkwolf. Good to see you. Perhaps spices like protein powder? Yeah, a rock of spice would be amazing. That's kind of what I'm interested in. Is what would it look like in crystal form? Because actually, a lot of minerals that you don't really think of as being crystals, you can rarely find them as crystals. You can find copper in crystal form. It's just very rare. And it was really fascinating when I went to the British Museum and I saw their vast display cases of mineralogical specimens. Crystals that you don't even imagine seeing crystals of, like crystals of silver. It happens. It's so rare that you don't expect to see it. Like oftentimes you have to refine copper or you have to refine silver to get the pure stuff out of the rocks. But if you find conglomerations of ultra pure copper, you can just see how it forms naturally, and it's fascinating. Some kind of sand krill, maybe Blaholton says. Yeah, that's kind of the one thing with the sand, the dune sandworms that is kind of a weird thing. Is like, yeah, I don't really understand, how they can get that big, and they must need a lot of water, but how much water are they getting? And that's the thing. But I'm sure he has some kind of explanation for that. Yes, Last Studio, like those types of things are not things you'll find, like silver crystals. You're not going to find that for sale anywhere. But under the right conditions, those things will form. Arsenic crystals. But oftentimes those things, not only can they be rare, but they might only exist under very certain pressure and temperature conditions. That's another thing. Which is why what I like to think about, and I think I mentioned this before, for Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, Xalavier gave me like really free reign to come up with like character portraits and stuff. And one of the character portraits I came up with was this sentient ice cream cone. And because I kind of thought about this later, is humans can only tolerate a very specific range of temperature differential, like for our internal mechanisms to work. Because when we have fevers, which is only a few degrees higher than our usual body temperature, that can be really bad, and it can be fatal if it's too high of a fever for too long. And I can only imagine that other alien races would be just as sensitive to minute body temperature changes, and how we only really can survive without help in a very narrow band of temperatures. So maybe like alien brain proteins would denature at 20 degrees Celsius or something. And I know I mentioned that before in stream, but I just love that as an idea. Yes, Dune nerd mode activate. Exactly, Grindislav. Okay, Fremen consider the sandworms gods, and the water of life is essentially described as sandworm effluents, so they have their own water. Cool. They are really cool, and they do have, when you mention like sand krill, Blaholton, their mouths do have like baleen, which is what whales have, which is that weird straining stuff, to kind of, they would, whales would swallow like a bunch of stuff at once and then strain it out through their baleen, and maybe that's what sandworms do as well. Oh, Fura, you guys had elections, and I hope you were able to get out and vote. And congratulations on electing your first black mayor. That's awesome. I totally, haven't, it's funny how American politics have really not been getting as much attention internationally, which is kind of nice. That's all I will say about that. What is going on? Do I have a weird selection? What is happening? What is going on? Okay. Yeah, the Dune Diamond, Ronald Draxter. Yeah, I would love to know about the geology of Dune. And I love the idea that Arrakis, is the only planet that has spice, and how they haven't been able to simulate it. Why is that happening? Oh, it's set on luminosity, that's why. Jeez. Because a lot of minerals, do take millions of years to form. And not even fancy ones, all of them. Ooh. The main component of the sandworm's diet, Grindislav says, was sand, and other inorganic and dry components of the Arrakis crust. It is also believed they sifted the sand plankton for nourishment. And water is poisonous to sandworms. Okay. The main component... Their main diet is sand? Gee. That's kind of... Wow, okay. And yeah, I have heard of... Even I think on Earth, aren't there some life forms that have very toxic blood? Like they're completely based on a different kind of chemistry than our blood? And I forget what those things were. But aren't there ones that have like cyanide-based blood and stuff like that? And they poop spice. Oh my gosh! So wait. Is Arrakis like a giant litter box? And is sandworm poop spice? Is it like ambergris? And Deluxe Tech said the novel Dune was based on an early script of Tremors starring Kevin Bacon. I think that's a fake. I don't know though. Okay, gross. Okay, yes, thank you, Deluxe Text. Okay, Pengo Ray says horseshoe crabs use copper instead of iron, so their blood is blue. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, so there is, natural precedence for that type of a thing, and it's really cool. Yeah, it's kind of like a weird milky blue color, and I know they milk horseshoe crabs for some kind of chemical that we haven't been able to replicate yet. So they kind of bring them up, and then they milk them a bit, and then they throw them back in the ocean. Yay, Benson! Yes, ambergris. Yeah, I'm also fascinated by just very rarely occurring natural things that are hard to reproduce. Although they have produced synthetic ambergris, so and that's great. And the same thing with like pigments and stuff, where lapis lazuli was used to make ultramarine pigment, but we've since been able to synthesize something that is less expensive, which is nice. But even now, natural ambergris can command a very high price. I don't like how these are all in the same plane, so I'm going to shove some of them back. Okay, so I guess what we're going with is the spice on Arrakis is not a geological formation. It's gross sandworm poop. But there's a lot of things like I guess honey is bee vomit, so and ambergris is they think it's vomit from sperm whales or something, right? Yes, there's also the poop coffee from that civet cat. Yes. That they eat the coffee beans and then they excrete the coffee beans that have fermented in the civet cat's stomach, and apparently it tastes amazing. I don't know. I've not tried it. I'd try it though. I would if it was put in front of me. I don't know if I would seek it out. Oh, you did have it once, the civet cat coffee. It was pretty good. Quite popular in Asia. Yeah, like I said, I would try it, for sure. The world is an amazing thing. Bird's nest soup? Yeah, so as far as I know, with bird's nest soup is swallows would make nests with their own, spit. It's like swallow spit would be used as the adhesive for... Oh, crap. What happened? Would be used for adhesive to make their nests with, and I guess those are what are harvested off the sides of cliffs? Is that bird's nest soup? Okay, Pengo Ray says, ambergris. Blockage of partially digested squid in the stomachs of sperm whales is only found in a small number of them. Grinislav has corrections. Spice is not sandworm poop. Spice originated on the planet Arrakis, where it was produced deep beneath the sands. It was created in a process whereby the fungal excretions of sand trout would mix with water to form a precise mass. This mass would then be brought to the surface of the desert through an explosion of pressure. And under the intense heat and air of Arrakis, melange would form. When the worms died, sand trout would be released into the sand, and the cycle would repeat. Oh, Pengo Ray, cool, you have sperm whales in your game, so you've been researching them. Okay. So they're fungal excretions of sand trout. Is that like a sand fish? Okay, so fungal excretions of sand trout mixed with water somewhere form pre-spiced mass. Mass will be brought to the surface through explosion of pressure. Under intense heat and air, melange would form. Sandworm died. Sand trout would be released into the sand. Wow. Okay, did not expect that. Slut Studio, have a lovely night and have a good rest. Okay, oh, a sand trout is apparently a larval form of sandworm. Okay. Yes, it is sandworm poop. Gruntus laugh. Well, it's a fungal excretion of a sandworm larva. I don't know. It didn't say what end it came from. This is a roller coaster. Yeah. Although, yeah, if someone put spice in front of me, I would try it once, just like the Civic coffee, and I know where that's from. Actually, I like the effect of this. So putting a bit of that, a 1 pixel wide water current there is giving it more of a feeling of dimensionality that I find kind of appealing. Mouse makes you wonder if you could train your cats to make spice instead. Apparently they're already making it. But it's just whether you're brave enough to give it a try. And don't do that, by the way. That's full of bacteria. Probably won't give you the same effect. Yes, Arrakis needs some sandworm mycologists to find out what end this excretion is coming from. Yeah, I guess like the Fremen use it for maybe ceremonial purposes, perhaps, or do they just know what it's made of and just don't touch it at all? Like, we know where that came from. We're not interested. This could have grave implications for the spice industry. It's a really cool idea. I would, yeah, if it can make you see through time, I would try it. Oh, you know what? And also the edge of the water it's black here. That's kind of strange. I don't know if I want to do that same treatment on the riverbank as I had there, but I do want to make it blue, I think. Now I'm thinking about a Star Wars universe where, what do they call it in hyperspace? Hyperspace jumps have to be accomplished by like a guild navigator, and they're just like little people that you have in a tank that you have to, you know, maintain to do hyperspace jumps. I do wonder, like, people do criticize the prequels for saying that, you know, space trade is boring and stuff, but I don't know, kind of Dune makes a good case for the fact that space trade can be kind of interesting, and space politics. In fact, there's a lot of science fiction I think that does. It's just a matter of execution. Yes, exactly, Jim Matt. I was thinking that exact same thing. As long as the Trade Federation doesn't sound like they're doing like the worst Japanese accents I've ever heard, and they're cowards. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't help. Ooh, see, there you go, Elantris. There's a fantasy novel called Elantris that has fascinating politics. I mean, Game of Thrones has fascinating politics. It can be done, you know? And it's funny because a lot of the Star Wars content, you know, that we see, they talk about the same stuff over and over again, but I'd be interested in knowing more about, you know, the politics in the world of Star Wars, but I don't know if that exists. And even in, you know, the deepest deepest entries in Wikipedia would they explain that stuff to me, because that's the stuff that I think would be kind of interesting. I'm sorry, Blaholtzen, that I reminded you. See, good. See, Blaholtzen says Disco Elysium as well. Elysium. It can be done. Like, politics can be interesting. In games. Seems like kind of a missed opportunity in Star Wars. Hey, Just a Jeffy, you're AFK. So the goal is, Just a Jeff, we're just working on taking kind of this example that's already in the game. So we have this jetty where there's a riverbank and a river with cattails and all that, and kind of doing a version of that here, but kind of doing a more detailed version, because the figure in this scene for scale is much larger than the Nancy Maple sprite is actually in game. So this stuff requires a little bit more to it, I think. And you know what I do have in some of the exterior shots for the water. I'm gonna just look at another example. Because I think I did a light to show the way that the water is flowing and the faster flowing areas, and I can't remember what I did, so I'm gonna just take a look. Where is that other waterfall shot? It's not here. No, I'll look at this one. So this here we have where the water is touching the rocks, there is that light cyan kind of look between the black. Yeah, so this is something I'd like to do here, because I'm not getting the sense of dimensionality anymore. But that's kind of nice. So I might try some of that here as well. Mausmus, so politics will never go away, not even in thousands of years. Politics, bullfighting, and bagpipes. 10,000 years. Mark my words. Oh, there's something called Cat President by the Deluxe Talk says by A Rock Studios. Cat President. Sounds like a real winner. I'm not sure how I feel about how that's looking, but I'm gonna try putting the... You know what? That's kind of not gonna work, is it? Am I gonna have to make this black? I think I'm gonna have to make that black. Because that's... I don't know, that's not working for me. That riverbank depth. Does it have to be black? Crit Rocket Rhino, good to see you. Try black. Okay, Mousema says try black. Oh, I'm glad you like the rocks, Mousema. Yeah, I'm really happy with these rocks. There's a lot of dithering going on in there, dithering magic. And so I would probably, I'll probably add some rocks in this for some visual variety. And like I said, I kind of made all the cattails kind of be in the water at the same level, so I'm definitely gonna fix that. But yeah, I'll try black in these areas and see if that helps. So I don't know if I'm crazy about that. Yeah, just a Jeffy, I just need one more color and it'll be perfect. Oh, there it is. Yeah, maybe. What it might be is I might have to do that thicker, and then for the water line that was in cyan on this piece, right by the edge of the rocks, where the rocks have the water, I might have to use the light cobalt again. So let's see what that looks like real quick. Oh, I'm glad you guys like the waterfall. Yeah, this is it's a 3. It says waterfall 3 on this because it's a 3. In fact, I can probably show you what that looks like if I open up the other two. One, two, three. I've been told that I should probably do more frames for this animation, and my response to that was, I might fix it later. Okay. Oops. What? Get rid of that frame. Okay, so here's my 3-frame animation. Let's kind of make them not as fast. But Lucas, have a great night. Thanks for coming. Good to see you. And you know what? The answer to Just a Jeffrey, does AGS support color cycling? The answer to that is I don't know. Does Grindislav know? Oh, okay. So have we said that it doesn't? I don't remember. And that's the 3-frame animation for the waterfall. Yeah, so I really like the light cyan on the edge of these rocks, and I might not be able to get away with cyan in the shot because the cattails are cyan, but I will try to think of something. It does look a little skippy. Oh, fine, Valholzen. Maybe I will come back to this at some point. Flora says, do you have a black and white checkered image? I was thinking you could use that as a mask to easily add in dither colors. Okay, Mouse also agrees it has a 4th frame. Okay. Maybe we'll do a 4th frame on another stream or something. Very well. I am open to feedback as always, so we could do that in the future. But at this moment I'm trying to fix this problem I'm having with this shoreline. No, that doesn't work. Okay, I'll keep the black for now, and if I need to change it, I can change it. Deluxe Tux, I don't hate the black. I don't hate it either. I'm ambivalent. But we'll put it in for now, you know, and we can take it away if we want to. It's a work of a few seconds to change that back. You know, it's one of those things where I'll come back to it next week, or not next week, maybe the week after. Oh, Curt Rocket Runner is one for this Black Shoreline. I will do a shout out for Curt Rocket Runner as well. Curt Rocket Runner also has a Twitch channel. Curt Rocket Runner. So I hope I spelled that properly. Okay, it contrasts with the bright blue water. How about trying darker blue next to the black? Yeah, so you're saying kind of doing it down. Yeah, that could work. I think that might do it. I'm just gonna finish off the whole shoreline and then we will come back and maybe do some blue. I think I like that idea. Mouse Miss. Oh, you're welcome, Curt Rocket Runner. Thanks for coming by. And then, as I said, it kind of goes off into the distance, so we're gonna subtly slim that out a little bit. Very slightly. And that it actually will really help to have that kind of just soften that transition, which I do agree is a bit much. That might be the deal. Jim Matt asks, would you add dithering eventually as a blend between the grass and the shoreline water? I probably wouldn't add dithering to the water because I'll be animating it, and animating dithering is, it's not impossible, but it's a huge hassle. I have done it though. I have done it to animate some cupboards opening and closing, but I would probably tend to avoid it in water because it won't look smooth like water needs to look. So if I can possibly avoid that, I will. But I think that this might be what we're calling for, and I think there's just too much of the cobalt in the water here. And I think just breaking that up a bit is going to help as well. But I do think you're onto something with the dark blue edging on this black. I think that's going to do it. Oh, Curt Rocker Runner, I'm glad you liked the Halloween video. I'm gonna pin that back up on my Twitter. After I'm not live anymore for stream, because I do like it and I want to keep it up. Because it was awesome that Dan would do that. Because we don't actually get much of an opportunity to kind of share Dan's music on Twitter, because a lot of it's for parts that we can't show for the game, unfortunately, so it's really nice to be able to actually show some of it. I think the blue is really helping. Yeah, just kind of, that's the drawback of making like a linear story-based adventure game type of thing, is there's so much you can't really show. And that's, I'm really conscious of, I need to keep showing stuff from the game, but then you don't want to show too much. Yeah, if this was Bob Ross, he would take his fan brush and he would just stick a tree right in the middle of this. Yeah, and he was working with real paint, and I'm not. Ooh, it's Farewell Nova Scotia. My favorite track, I think, out of all these, and we've been listening to the same MIDI folk tunes, the same MIDI Canadian folk tunes, since I started doing the stream more than a year ago. And whenever this comes on, I just have to keep saying this is probably my favorite out of all 6 hours of the Great Canadian Tune Book that we listen to repeatedly here. Yay! Looks like, so you did kind of stick a tree across the middle. Well, yeah, that one. Yeah, I guess that counts. Oh, Edenwith asks, what time of year does this game take place? The game takes place in like August, late August, kind of a time, 1914, late August. I think, yeah, that really helps. That really helps, because now it really feels like the light is, the shadow is being cast onto the water. Taking the black down to 1 pixel thick. I tend to avoid taking black down to 1 pixel thick because I don't like it looking like... It can look really consciously like an outline. Which, I don't know, maybe that's just my own personal thing. I like having it variable. Yes, farewell to Nova Scotia, Jim Matt. Yes, that's the track. Yes, Cosmo Boy 3, you had it as well. Farewell, Nova Scotia. Farewell to Nova Scotia. Deluxe Talks, you think I can get away with a much more robust tree in the final? Could do. Yes, Mouse Miss, August 1914, just as the World War started. Yes, so it's kind of... That's when... It's the summer that I guess it kind of kicked off, but at the very start, people didn't really... I don't think people really knew what it was going to be. Ooh! A music fact. Farewell to Nova Scotia, based on the Scottish lament The Soldier's Adieu, written by Robert Tannahill. Written close to the First World War. No way! So this is perfect. So it works out perfectly in theme. And what I might eventually do with the cattails is I might dither them back, because right now they're standing out quite a bit. So yeah, speaking of dithering, I tend to only do dithering as like a last pass of stuff. I want it to work on its own really before that, but what we can do is we can open up, we can grab one of my dithering masks and just stick it in there, and then we can see what that looks like. Intro. Right. Should be this one. Yeah, and here was the piece, our last piece, and its finished state. There. And yeah, we can just grab one of these and stick it in here. And, great. And we're gonna color that. I want it to be a red dither, dark red dither. So, sample. Okay, great. Do that. And then just knock it all back by filling with black. And then we are going to just do a real nice... Which layer is this on? Okay, great. Here. Oh, and some of this, I need to clean some of this up. Because my layer discipline is really not that good. So we're going to just clean some of this up. Okay. I also quite like this piece. Is there a name for this one? I should actually know it, because the wow on the finished piece. This one is called Richardson's Pipes. That sounds like it'd be Scottish too. Bagpipes again. Jim Matt says, when I see the fisherman in there, the composition is so sound, it makes me think you unconsciously use the golden ratio. I may have. They did teach us it in school. Yeah, I think that's yeah, see that helps, I think, knock the cattails back. So I probably will do that here, in that case. I may even do the same just to the bright cyan as well. So why don't we just do that too? I know I'm kind of breaking my own rules right now. Those tend to be the rules I'm most comfortable with breaking. Is my own. I'm pretty square. Oh wait, I wanted the dark cyan for the dither. Three-quarters to the right is the focal point. The focal point is always your favorite kind of composition. It's because I guess when we read left to right, so it kind of rests nicely in that quarter. I think I do that a lot unconsciously too. Says the Jaywalker. Deluxe Talks. Yeah, I'm never gonna live that one down. Yeah. You all do it. Yeah, I think that helps. Yeah, it does have smart objects. I'm not good at them for I. I'm not. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do here. And also looking at the jetty piece, like there is shadow that we're going to put in there as well at the bottom, but under the trees, because right now we're missing a lot of that as well. But we're not going to do that right now. Yeah, Black Holes, and I saw you mentioning that about smart objects not being very useful in pixel art. Pengo Ray, half the digital artists you see barely even use layers, let alone smart objects. That freaks me out, Pengo Ray, because I love layers. Just using the fisherman as an example, I can move this guy wherever I want on this, to really fine tune exactly what his placement's going to be. And the idea that I wouldn't be able to do that, I'm scared of that. And here we've come upon one of the reasons why it's not that great. It's not that great to do the dithering now, is because I'm going to actually go back and adjust some of these cattails, and then I have to go back and adjust the dithering too. That's what happens when you break your own rules. Those rules are there for a reason, Julia. And I can see, yeah, so for the distance ones that are further to the left, those ones are going to need to be shorter looking. So I'm definitely going to cut those ones back, because I did want to give the impression that they were smaller, and they're not really giving that impression right now. This is my lazy kind of fake perspective that I do all the time, and it's good enough. Yes, and I agree, Bill Holton, there's definitely value to not obsessing about keeping things separated into layers. But you can see, I've even mentioned in this stream that my layer discipline is extremely weak, and I will stuff will be on the same layers all the time, and they shouldn't be, but I don't fuss about that too much, because I know at this resolution it's easy enough to just fix stuff as I need it. So I do agree with that. I don't spend a lot of time organizing things perfectly. Yeah, and there are different styles of pixel art too, and yeah, more painterly types would probably not be that concerned. I agree. I'm more cross-stitching type of pixel art, I think, and so it's kind of funny because I'm actually doing physical cross-stitching, but I'm very much but an individual placement of pixels type of a person. So Grunislav, welcome back. Thank you for dropping all the Dune and Arrakis knowledge, because you're actually saving me a lot of time. Yeah, Blaholtzen, good. You don't name your layers either. Good. You can see that's how I roll as well. And that's another thing I love about this, low resolution art like this, is that there really isn't a lot to lose from not being great with your layers or not naming them. I like that I can be a bit loosey-goosey with this stuff. Cosmic 43. Funny, because it's after watching you draw that I started using layers myself. I think they're a great tool, and I couldn't live without them. But yeah, in terms of being totally, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, conventional with them, or I don't know, being really like stringent about how you use them, I'm not. Fantastic. Yeah, it looks to me, I'm liking how this is going so far. So I think ooh, yeah, it's 10:16 now. I usually go to 10:30, right? Yeah, so I think this might be a good place to leave off, and we're going to load up some Personal Nightmare, play that for about 15-20 minutes, I'd say. Because I do think it is fascinating. That's kind of where we've left off today. Yes, we're going to do some gaming. Let's close all this stuff. But I shouldn't even say this, but I don't anticipate this one's going to take as long as the nighttime one. The lighting is going to be a lot less challenging. Thank you, Valhalton. I do think this was good progress tonight. This is, yeah, I mean, the things that stick out to me most about this is I'm definitely going to want to create more depth in these trees in the background. But that can definitely wait. And also what I'm going to need to do is, which is something I should do now is, well, maybe next time. I have this framing device here that I kind of eliminated in the other pieces. So I don't know if I'm going to keep it, like the silhouettes here. I may for this one because I still do kind of like it, and it keeps the composition from flowing right off from one end of the screen to the other. Yeah, I do have much better reference for this from Blaholton. That's a good point, because the nighttime scene that we were working on before, I don't use that color palette for nighttime in the actual game, so it was different for me. But this one is a lot more with the color palette that I'm familiar with, and I do have a lot of examples of how I've treated certain visual elements already. So yeah, that's going to be a lot better. But I do think, come to think of it, I will keep the silhouette on this, because there's something about it that still appeals to me. Yes, I think, fingers crossed, this will be a faster one than the previous one. Or the previous two even, my gosh. Let's not even mention the Royal Canadian Museum piece, which was epic. Yeah, I do like the foreground elements in here. Even though we took them away in the nighttime scene, I do want to keep them here, I think. So, let us close this out. And yeah, let us move. Oh, see, the shortcut goes to the other one. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I don't mean to do that. It's just I have to change that, and I don't want to do it right now. So Vader will not make a return, I don't think, until ever, maybe, because I don't. Although I might repeat that costume because it was pretty easy. But we are gonna try some Personal Nightmare for the rest of the stream until about 10:30, and then we're gonna find someone to raid. Show and tell Halloween. Okay, so let's load up Personal Nightmare. Okay, Personal Nightmare game. Okay. No, don't do that. Oh no. Yes, there we go. Whoa, that's kind of amazing. Look at this. It's gorgeous. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. The Darth Diamond. I'm so sorry. There's no more sound in the rest of the game. Are you guys awake now? I'm so sorry. That won't happen again. Yeah, you know what? Good question, Maximus. How come Elvira is in this? As far as I can tell, she's not. When I do the copyright, I should do right now. But the copyright notice in my game is not in Roman numerals, and I kind of want it to be. Maybe I'll figure that out and put it in Roman numerals because it's way more prestigious that way, I think. Yeah, I'm so sorry. That's not. Yeah, there's no more sound in this whole game. Don't worry, it's okay. Do I want to restore a saved nightmare? No. So this is the what I showed you guys before, and you can type in look, and you can press enter, or. Oh yeah, so yeah, the guy gave us a key, which is nice. So if you go to inventory, you can see you've got that key now. It is your key to the pub. Oh yeah, and sorry I didn't read any of that. But basically, it says when the pub is locked up, you can't scroll back on the log either, so that kind of is not nice. But it basically said when giving you a pub key because you're renting a room here because you're looking for your father, and apparently in that really freaky cutscene at the beginning, your father was the preacher, and then he kind of burst into flame. But I don't know if you know that. In 1989 in Roman numerals, yeah. But yeah, so you can either do that or you can say examine, and you can point to people. Examine Mrs. Jones, the proprietress of the Duck and Dog. So this is what I mean about that theater, that virtual theater type of thing. So here's this other guy. So now he's walked in, we can examine him. Examine Mr. Roberts. Mr. Roberts is the village registrar. Or you can just say, look, when you know what these people's names are, look Mr. Jones. The bar of the Dog and Duck, you can see Jimmy Blandford, Mr. Jones, Mrs. Jones, and Mr. Roberts. Ask Mr. Jones about father. Not being a religious man, I never used to see him. However, he dropped in a few nights ago to see Michael Williams. Oh, so there goes Mr. Roberts out again. Oh, see, he's putting his jacket up. So now we can say examine jacket. Oh, Mr. Roberts just doesn't like the fact that I'm looking at his jacket. Using pure context to define the man's boots. Yeah, it's too bad that you can't scroll up to see what happened after. We can ask Mrs. Jones about father. I haven't seen him since the day your mother went on holiday. I suppose he must have decided to go too. And yeah, if you go to this room thing, you can see there's a couple things here that are in the room that you can look at or take. The bugle, it is old and probably quite valuable. The heavy jacket, Mr. Roberts is eyeing you suspiciously. Good old unforgiving games. Can you flirt with the drunks? I don't think so. Flirt with Roberts? No. Wait, who are we in this? Blaholton asks. Well, that's what it will say in the manual. In fact, I should read... let's pause the game. And let me just read you what... I'll read you what the description of this game is, real quick. Personal Nightmare on GOG. And it is, let's see if it's still on sale. You want to be the bugle on the top wall, Jim Metz says. It's still on sale for $1.89 Canadian. It says, well, actually, this doesn't help. It doesn't tell you who you are. We're going to have to look at the manual. Okay. Personal Nightmare Game Manual. Okay. This is really long, but it says, okay, this is the village of Tinham Cross. And you're brought up a vicar's son. Life is very quiet in the sleepy village. Let's see. Your mother wrote you a letter. It's after you moved away. Apparently your father has been behaving strangely. And apparently he's become obsessed with the story of James Hyatt, the vicar at the Church of St. Anthony some 300 years earlier. Let's see. More of the letter came from your father advising he has made arrangements for you to stay at the local inn. He is having the house redecorated, didn't think the work would be completed by the time you visited. Your mother's sister Alice has taken ill, is currently bedridden. Your mother has gone to visit her in Camplethorpe. So you are the son of a vicar who has disappeared, basically, who has been acting strangely. And yeah. You've come back to the village that you grew up in. There's more. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a lot. But that's who you are. You are... Oh, what's your name? That would be nice. It doesn't say your name. Okay, it doesn't say your name. But yeah, you're the vicar's son and you're investigating his disappearance. Blaholton knows what a vicar is thanks to out of the Outer Worlds. Okay, so we're gonna do some more looking around. I know you guys want the trumpet or the bugle or whatever it is. Are those different things? Is a bugle the one with no keys? Okay, so let's unpause. Look, bugle. I said look, bugle. Take bugle. See, here comes Susan. Oh, Mr. Jones makes you put it back, muttering about people who won't stop meddling. Examine Susan Blandford. The wife of Jimmy Blandford, a pretty young woman. Ask Susan about Jimmy. Susan seems in no state to talk. Ask Jimmy about Susan. How could she, he mumbles, clearly very drunk. Uh-oh. Trumpet has keys. Bugle's a military horn they play in the morning. Okay. Oh, Team Fortress 2. Vicar. Okay, bugle's got no keys or valves. Huh. Who do we have here again? Jeez. This is the Jimmy Blandford. Okay. Keep away from my husband, Susan sobs. Wow. Proprietor, duck and dog. This is Susan. That's Jimmy's wife. This is, it's a full house. Examine Mr. Roberts, village registrar. Okay, examine beer glass. An ordinary boarding beer glass. Let's take glass. Thank you, says Mr. Jones, removing the beer glass from your hand. I don't know. Kiss Susan. Kiss Susan. Why kiss that? Yikes! Okay, well, you can see that we have some options here. We can examine the door. Small door. Let's open the door. Oh, Jimmy's gotten up. Okay. So the thing is, what I mentioned it before, is that you can move in a bunch of different ways. Oh, here's screech of tires and a thud outside. Uh-oh. Where outside? Oh, look, it's Jimmy. Jimmy, we just saw him walk outside. Examine Jimmy. A small key and a roll of film lies beside his opened hand. He mutters, how could she, how could she? Take film. Take, what was the other thing? Examine Jimmy. Loot his... Examine Jimmy. What else did he have on him? Take key. Take... Okay, look. Take number plate. I mean, he's dead, so we looted him. I think that's pretty standard. Ask Jimmy about Susan. Did he do that because we tried to kiss his wife? No, yeah, we tried to kiss Jimmy's wife. Oh. Ask... Susan starts sobbing. Ask Susan about Jimmy. She's in no state to talk. Yes, so. This was a timed event. As I mentioned, time kind of passes without you doing anything. So you can see these characters have gotten up and moved and left and all that. Here comes the Bobby. I'm sure he's called. Look, Bobby. Oh, Jimmy Blandford lies dying on the floor, a smashed ruin of a person. You can see Susan Blandford and the policeman. Ask policeman. Did Bobby work? See, and the clock has struck 6. About Jimmy? Oh, no, I'm so sorry. What the heck? Oh, I'm so sorry. Jeez. Oh my god. Oh god. Can we get out of here? I'm so sorry. I've never been there when the ambulance got there. I don't think. Blackstocks, thanks for coming. I'm so sorry, this was not relaxing. This game is not relaxing. Is she still there? Okay. Everyone's gone. They are scary. You know what? If real ambulances in real life made that sound, people would get out of the way a lot faster. Oh wow, you said that, Pingo Ray. Man, you beat me to it. If ambulances sounded like that in real life, people would really get out of the way. It's so true. Okay. But yeah, this is showing you what that whole virtual theater thing is. So, oh, and look, there's Now Robert's is not here. So we can get his key from his jacket while he's away. So all this stuff, people come and go. It's a living world. But at the same time, it's really challenging. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Ronald Drexler says, next Dan music session we can skip, we're all deaf. Yeah, my goodness. Gee, okay, so we can go upstairs. Here's that beautiful room I had shown you. Look. Small room, but with a very high ceiling. You can see Tony Donaldson, the cat, and the pillow. I don't see Tony Donaldson, a cat, or a pillow in this artwork, but I'll just take your word for it. Look, cat. Look, cat, I said. Examine cat. Okay. Cat has a brass tag on its collar. Wrong use of its, by the way. Bearing the name Nikki. Examine Tony. His parents were killed in a fire and he's now fostered by the Joneses. Ask Tony about parents? Okay, ask Tony about Mr. Jones. Okay. Can I open your wardrobe? Okay. Look in wardrobe. Okay, it's empty. Okay, so yeah, you can move in this game by either clicking on the compass rose, clicking on the screen, or typing in the direction you want to go. What is inside the bubble thing? Oh yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah. The bubble thing. Examine. It's a bunch of soldiers neatly stood in ranks inside a glass case. How are we supposed to know the cat's name is Tony? Militant Brawler, good to see you. No, the cat's name isn't Tony. The boy's name is Tony. Tony's family died in a fire, and he is being fostered by the Joneses. Examine Tony. Although you couldn't tell that to look at this screen at all. This is, let's see. A 4-poster bed dominates the landlord's bedroom. You can see a mirror. It's also I don't like the fact that you can open these drawers, but it doesn't tell you that the drawers are there. You kind of have to click as well. It is a receipt for the chest. It has the initials SPB on it. It seems to be written on paper from a garage order book. Sure, we'll take it. That's the golden rule of adventure games, is take stuff. And SPB could be Susan P. Blandford, potentially. Examine. A horrible, spotty, ugly face stares back. That's not very nice. Just take it. Taken. That is the bed. Oh, you can just click on stuff to look at it. Oh, well, nice. That is the window. Examine bed. Superb 4-poster bed. Okay. I didn't know that. Let's get out of here. When were we introduced to Tony? Militant Brawler asks. We were not introduced to Tony. We just met Tony because we wandered into his bedroom. And this is our bedroom. You're in the pub's guest room, so this is your guest room. You can see a thick towel and a window. I did not know in British hotels that you would have a sink beside the bed, but maybe it's the same thing as the washing machine in the kitchen. I don't know. Can we look in here? Oh, yeah, we can't see into it because we have to open it first. I did the same thing. Fair play. Yeah, exit. Oh, and yeah, to mention before inventory, you can look into you've got pajamas. You can put more stuff in the suitcase if you want. You can put stuff in your suit as well. Which is kind of complicated, needlessly. Yes. I'm glad we could steal the rude mirror. Yeah, exactly. Exits. And if we look at the room, we can take the towel. A bit rough, but adequate. The problem with this game is that because your inventory is so limited, it's not the best thing to just hold on to everything. Even though there's so much room in the screen for more inventory, I'm almost at capacity. So we're gonna put tie in wardrobe just to free up some space. Put coat in wardrobe, I guess. Okay. We need the shoes because we need to wear shoes, and we need the suit or else we won't leave the room if we put the suit away. Oh, the mirror interaction reminds you of Disco Elysium. Similar description of a splotchy face. Wee. But I don't think I need the pajamas in my... Although, I wonder what happens if I wear the pajamas and I try to leave the room. Wear pajamas. Okay. Southwest. Oh, I can leave the room in the pajamas. I wonder what happens if I just spend the rest of this time in the pajamas. Will that do anything? Very stylish. Okay, so let's put the suit in the wardrobe. And just wander around in our pajamas the rest of the game and see what happens. Okay. Sure, that's fine. And when you talk to the people downstairs more, you'll find that they'll say that Mrs. Jones, the pub mistress or whatever you'd call her, apparently she's like a clean freak and she'll clean up everything. So I don't know if that means if you just drop stuff all over the place, if you lose that stuff forever or what. Yes, now we're extra comfortable. Let's save. Let's save this as stream. And that's just something else I mentioned is that it doesn't give you a list of your save games, so you just have to remember. Wash hands. Okay. Fair enough. Look under bed. Oh, checked and found nothing interesting. Oh, southwest. Oh, you realize you're underdressed and retreat back to your room? But I'm wearing the pajamas, right? Yeah, I'm already wearing them. I left last time. What happened? Take suit. Oh, I can't. So we can't. Okay, wear suit. Fine. Oh, put pajamas in wardrobe. This is riveting, I'm sure. Okay, save stream. Okay. Yes, the impassionate oak. I like okay with a dot. And don't they do that in some of the Sierra games as well? Oh, I keep on trying to do SQ. Speaking of Sierra. And I wish I could find out the time without just hearing the clock strike. That would also be nice. So it doesn't look like it's too late in the day. So why don't we explore a bit more? Oh, what's that? This is the kitchen. Examine cupboards. Look in cupboards. Nothing of interest in the kitchen? What is this? Knife holder. Oh, apparently I can't mess around her kitchen even though she's at the bar. She can tell I'm in here and she doesn't want me touching anything. Okay. Oh, Scott Adams' game started the okay thing. I like it. There's something about that I find kind of appealing. Okay, so let's go out. If we cross the street... Oh, no. That's not what we want. West. East. East. North? Okay. So this church... Oh. I want to... It's kind of... This is kind of confusing. Okay, open door. It is locked. Knock. Okay. I don't think that does anything. Yeah, it's got black holes. It's got really nice... look at this. I love how the distant houses are... really, they're cyan. Examine gravestone. Gravestone? Examine... The gravestones are chipped and worn with age. Gazing across the many names carved upon them, you ponder your own mortality. Okay. And I think it says the same here. Look at that nice moss. It's very impressionistic. The sky and everything. There is a lot to enjoy here, especially for $1.89. This looks like it's locked, but it's not. That's kind of nice. The strong door, similar in style to the rest of the church. The door seems to have been used recently. You know what? I'm going to take this opportunity. I'm going to turn way down the desktop audio. I'm going to turn it off, actually, because just in case that we don't want any more freaky sounds. So why don't we go into this nice crypt? What do you think? Look. You're standing in the church's musty old crypt. A narrow set of stairs descend further. You can see the mop. Okay, examine. I don't see a mop, but that's another thing I'm not crazy about in this game is, yeah, you just... Oh, examine mop. It is covered in cobwebs, evidently unused for years. Take mop? Oh, I've got the mop. Great, I guess. Okay. Covered in cobwebs. I don't know if I need the mop. This is totally going to be fine though, right? Naturally. Let's keep going. Isn't that nice? Look at that nice vaulted ceiling. Ooh, look. What do you mean no look? East? There's a wall in the way. Open door? Open the door. East. Oh, look at that. I can go there. Oh, wow. Whoops. Hold on. That was weird. It's not quite what I wanted to do. Examine. Plinth. The coffin sits upon the stone block. Examine coffin? It's an old musty coffin which seems in very good condition for its age. Let's open the coffin. Right? That's all we like to do. The coffin is locked? Knock? Okay. Wow. Okay, open door. Try them keys. Oh, yeah, unlock. What's nice about this game is that if you can unlock, if you do have the key for something, it will automatically unlock if you say unlock. You don't have to pick through a bunch of keys or anything, which is nice. But I guess nothing is here. Yeah, that was like a nice quality of life thing. So let's open this door. Let's go in. Oh, nice. Look. These are beautiful rooms. Tastefully decorated lounge. See a round bowl. Take bowl. Taken. Do I need it? It's like a bowl of fruit or something. Don't know if I need that. Let's put it in our suitcase, I guess. What else is in this room? Nope. Examine. Pillow. Sofa. Chair. Comfortable. Sit. Chair. Can I sit? Sit on... Oh. Sit on sofa. You can't do that. Okay. South. Oh, wait. No. Go back. What? Oh, an evil presence seems to emanate from the cottage. Although you try to resist, your legs walk you back out into the street. So I can't go back in? Oh. North. North. North? Oh. Weird. Okay, well. Yeah, this is a nice game in that it's pretty easy to navigate. You got two sides of a street. That's not to say I don't still get lost in it, because my sense of direction is terrible. Oh. I guess it's 11. So the thing is with this game is it's at 11 at night, I am assuming, which we can't tell because it's not dark out. And you can't tell the time unless the clock strikes. Yeah, this is why I turned the sound off. It's because there probably was a loud and scary sound. I sure hope you remember what the name of your save game file was. Yeah. But, wow, 1046. that is Personal Nightmare. It is gorgeous. If a person who is a fan at all of EGA art, and you don't mind a little bit of frustration with something, it's really a cool little thing. And I do plan on playing through the whole thing, but I plan on just going with a walkthrough to see everything. But I do encourage you to give it a shot. Yeah, these are the places where you just can't open. You have these are open during the day. So this is the registrar's office, and this is the post office, but they're locked. Yeah, but it's pretty. I like the fact I don't really have to draw a map, which is nice. Will I be streaming it or playing it on my own time? Oh, that's a good question, Blaholtzen. Because I know you guys mentioned that you might be interested in watching me try to just play through this. So, I don't know. That's something that I will think about it. And maybe what we can do is there can be a segment on an art stream where we take 20 minutes or something, and then I'll play like the first day or something, and then we can keep playing. Just following the walkthrough entirely. I'm not one of those amazing Twitch streamers that can play stuff just blind and figure it out. I can't. Yeah, maybe I will play some. So why don't we do that? In fact, next art stream we will play Personal Nightmare first day or something, as far as we get. For now, why don't I find... You'd definitely be interested. Okay, so yeah, I mean, it looks like there's a little bit of interest for watching me play through a Personal Nightmare, so just to save yourselves the trouble of doing it. Yeah, why don't we do that? That would be a nice little thing that we can do on art streams. Because I haven't really prepared any rock talks for the next... I haven't really had anything in mind for that. And playing a bit of Personal Nightmare on stream before an art stream or during an art stream for like a bit of an art break takes a lot less prep. So I'm all for less prep. But for now, why don't we look... I'm going to look at someone to raid, because it's actually... We were having so much fun with Personal Nightmare that we went a little bit over time. So I'm going to find someone. So I'm going to just take a look at who's on right now. Next week should be a music stream. We'll see if Dan is available. All that. What do we have? Let's see. Cosmic Void, thank you for coming, as usual. It's good to see you. Someone playing Phantasmagoria 2. I'm just gonna see. Middle-aged streams playing Death's Gambit. I don't know what that is. I'm just gonna take a quick peek. And Renaissance is playing G&G. Oh, that's Ghosts and Goblins. Whoa. Oh, these are all ads. Super Mario Brothers 2 speedrun. Tonda's playing... I don't know what Cotton Arcade Beta is. It is still kind of a spooky time. Let's see. I don't know what... Ooh, this kind of looks cool. Does anyone know what Death's Gambit is? Death's Gambit. Oh wow, that looks really cool. Oh, but Holton, yeah, I tend to get ads pretty regularly. Although I haven't really been checking out any streams except for Grundislav's Wild West Wednesday stream at 1 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. Other than that, let's see. What's Tonda playing? I just want to check out what Cotton Arcade Beta is. Because I'm not sure yet. Although I guess my first order of business should have been seeing if anyone's streaming the Crimson Diamond. Check what I caught. Okay, I don't know what that is. That looks bananas. Okay, the Crimson Diamond. Let's cup that first. Okay. No one is playing the Crimson Diamond right now. Is anyone playing the Colonel's Bequest? No one is playing the Colonel's Bequest. Anyone playing Dagger of Amon-Ra? No. What's Taco Adventure playing? Oh, Mouseman says, we talked Dune today. There's a guy playing Dune 2, but it's an RTS. Oh, Blaholzen, yeah, that'd be so cool if you streamed the demo. Oh, Taco is playing Stair Quest. No, not likely at 4 a.m. on a Tuesday. Oh, man. Yeah, Blaholzen, I really appreciate you coming in and stuff. And yeah, tag me if you do stream the demo. I would love to be there to see you play it. Man, Taco is playing StairQuest, which I kind of find really appealing. Although Renaissance is playing Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection, so let's see what that looks like. I'm the worst at picking who to raid. Oh my gosh. Wow. See, it's funny because the version of Ghosts and Goblins I first experienced when I was a kid was like a DOS version of it, and it was in EGA, and it was really cool looking. I do remember that. But the one that Renaissance is playing right now, it's not like the same kind of limited palette that I really like. Which there's no reason to expect that. But you know what? Amberzine, thank you for the resub and thanks for coming. I think I am going to. StairQuest is kind of awesome. So I think we're gonna raid up Taco. Although let's check out the Phantasmagoria, Maximus. You are right that it's always nice to raid other streamers. So let's check out what that looks like. Sorry, this is what I'm like when I'm at a restaurant that I've never been to and I'm handed the menu. And oh, by the way, how is like stream today? Were there any slowdowns or dropped frames or anything like that? Yeah, it's just a Jeffy's raid time. Yeah, we played some Personal Nightmare, and now we're gonna raid it up. Oh, good, perfect. Does it look like something where I should increase like the kbps or anything? What do you guys think? This looks really. You know what? Phantasmagoria 2 might be it, because I really like Shakar High's setup. It's super professional looking. I love all like the neon and stuff. So why don't we raid up Shakar High? I have 2,500 already? Okay. So doesn't seem like you need to change anything. Perfect. That's what I love to hear the most. Those are the magic words. Doesn't seem like you need to change anything. Good. So let's raid Phantasmagoria 2. Shakar High. Shakar High. It's a really, really cool setup that Shikarhi has. Shikarhi 2. Okay. Okay. Our raid message is gonna be Crimson Diamond Raid. Blaholtzen, take care of you as well. Thank you so much for coming. And if you have emotes, we'll do something like that. Okay, so we're gonna set it up to raid. You should check out Shikarhi's stream setup. It's really, really cool. And I don't know why this is scrolled weird for me. But good night, Mosmus. Have a great night. See you guys next week. We'll do something. Hopefully Dan will be here. And we're going to raid. So see you guys over there.